Listeners of the Left Hand Path. I'm here with my good friend, one of my best friends in the world, E.A. Koetting. And it's good to get back on and do another video with you. And you're back on YouTube now, right?
No,
No?
no. We could. I could get back on YouTube, but we just don't. I just don't care to. It's just it's become a clusterfuck. No, there are a couple channels pretending to be me that are being run. One of them looks like it's being run out of like Pakistan or India or something like that.
Okay.
And
I must have been looking at one of those because it was like yesterday I saw it and I was like, oh shit, did he start a new channel? But
No.
you're on Odyssey and Discord and TikTok still, right?
Yeah, Odyssey and TikTok. Discord, we started a Become a Living God Discord channel, and we just never did anything with that. So it's there, but we don't, I don't even know if it's open for anybody to join. But the main thing, so on Odyssey, the main thing I'm using Odyssey for at this point, because it's not pulling a lot of people in there. It's pretty much the people who are already really hardcore in the occult are coming there and doing the live chats there. So I use that for live chats on Wednesdays and then for my ritual videos. Because I can't post ritual videos on TikTok because they get mad about my fire. If I'm holding a dagger, and dude, even like this thing that's obviously this is not like a go out and do anything on the streets with kind of thing. This is obviously ceremonial tool. No, if I showed this on TikTok, which I hope we're not on TikTok right now,
no.
Do they? I get striked on that. So with TikTok, I just have to treat it like I just sit and talk. Like that's if I do anything beyond talking, it's I get flagged. They whatever. So that's all right. I can just sit in front of the camera and answer questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, at some point we might start up another YouTube channel. But if I do, I'm not gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm not even gonna be involved in it much at all. I might co-stream stuff, like if I'm doing my Odyssey live chat, I might stream it over onto YouTube. But there's a lot of unstable people that hang out on this platform.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll end up with a few of them in the chat. It's always entertaining to see what people say. And like I said before, like even if you are a troll, I still appreciate the view, appreciate the time and energy. Love and hate's all the same thing to me. It's attention. So
yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah. So yeah, what have you been working on lately, man? I know you just dropped a new book. I just picked it up. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Just got mine in the mail. But
the Tantra book?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that the Tantra book?
No, the God, if you hadn't asked me on a live stream,
the influence. What is it called? The social engineering magic.
Yes, that.
Okay, all right. Yeah. No, that was a cool one. Did that with Martin McGregor and Andrea Vitamus. And the big thing that I wanted to bring to that is a spell book for influencing, for manipulation. That's one of the things that, like most spells that you look at, you're actually not trying to affect the world. The world's actually great. If you go out into the forest and go pick some apples off of the tree and eat it, and you can actually live in the forest and off of the earth, great. It's other human beings that are a goddamn problem. And so, especially when you live and you have to deal with people for your workplace, you have to deal with people for, if you live in any kind of city situation, oh man, that's hell if you don't have the ability to actually make people do what you want them to do sometimes. And so with this spell book, I just leaned all the way into it. I'm like, you know what? This is the root of most magic is manipulating and persuading and coercing people, and sometimes getting them out of your way, or sometimes making allies of them.
Yeah. No, and that's what everybody's trying to do, especially in the corporate world and things like that. You're just, I'm guessing you're offering some better, more effective techniques on how to get along with people. Fuck, if I could have had that book in high school,
Yeah. Right. Well, and there are some things in there that we do incorporate that are kind of common, like neurolinguistics programming and affirmations and things that you actually do see. All the corporate people, doing a dream vision board and stuff. I think Andrea covers some of that stuff, and so it's like, yeah, you incorporate those things, but here's the problem with all that, dude. I've known a million poor ass people They don't have a dime, 2 dimes to rub together, but they're walking around saying, I am wealthy, I am abundant. And it's like, no, you're not, bitch. And the reason you're not is you're not putting anything behind that. It's just words, and actually what's behind those words for most people is doubt and fear. They're pushing doubt and fear. And so they're actually saying in their emotions, I'm afraid of wealth, and I'm also afraid of poverty. And so the whole ritual process that ceremonial magicians have been working on for forever, it does first off, it gets you, so it's not just you saying those words. It is the Almighty flowing through you saying those words. And so there's a whole process, and also of blasting power through you, so you're funneling power, so it's not just words, that is actually empowered.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Hell yeah. Behemoth X, my brother, I'm always so happy to see you. I hope you're doing well. I'm always doing well wishes your way, my brother.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. A solid dude. One of the best friends we've got. I always love it when he shows up. I was looking for him in the chat. I might have missed it. I hadn't seen it yet. I was reading some of the other crap. But yeah, I mean, I see Charlene's in the chat. We got Jeremiah in the chat. We got several people in the chat so far. See Zerafina. What's up, sister? Hope you're doing
my
good.
Love. Dan Best asks, is that a new Mjolnir? I like it. So yeah, it is. And thank you. I love this Thor's hammer that I'm wearing right here. And that's the thing that I've been diving into hardcore is Norse magic and rune magic. And so I'm right now I'm filming my video course for a rune magic spell book that I've just written 100% on my own. I kind of said, fuck you to everybody else that could have contributed to it, because I had a couple people that were like, hey, I'd love to jump on a rune project. I'm like, I bet you would, but this is mine. Like I got so much that I wanted to say about this topic. I was like, nope, I'm taking it. I'm going to be selfish with this and just own it all. And oh, dude, this is going to be a thick book. This is actually the thickest, most in-depth book I've written since Book of Azazel. Like this is I got lit on fire for this rune magic book. And so yeah, that's been really all consuming. It is in my blood. It is in my blood. My bloodline goes straight back to Scandinavia, to Norway, to Germany, and to Switzerland are the places that my bloodline comes from. And so when I even just look at a rune, or I look at any of the symbols or any of the icons, it just lights me on fire, and it always has. And so it's fun to dive into that. And and with that, it is interesting, because like it seems like every time whether I'm jumping into runes or even like I've started summoning some angels, Azazel is always there giving me his blessing. And he's actually the one, he was telling me, he's like, it's time you go turn to your ancestors. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. He goes, basically you did the work that you need to do with the demons, and that's great. We'll be calling on you again, but you got other things to do for now. Pointing me towards the ruins. I was like, all right, dude. Okay. If you say so. And I actually called Azazel the other day. Dude, it's just so his presence is just so undeniable. He is I can't say that I worship him, but if there was a god I worship, it would be Azazel.
Yeah. That was the first book of yours that I got a hold of. The reason it was the first book I bought was Evoking Eternity. But I first heard of you like through YouTube, and you had somebody like read the book. It was an audio book, and so I could sit there and listen to it at work. And I was just, dude, it's like watching a really crazy movie. Like you're on the edge of your chair. Like that's how I was listening to this audio book the whole time. But yeah, I remember you talking about you were going to do like a whole pathwork or a whole course and book on runes years ago. So yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on that one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, for sure. It's exciting. After this, Zerafina and I are working on a glamour magic spell book. I've already started. I'm about halfway done with my part of it. And with it, I started going, I don't want to just tell you how to pretend to be something. No, I'm going to get into full-on shape-shifting. I've started grabbing some of the notes from Carlos Castaneda on how to turn into a raven. Started taking notes from the Vikings on how to turn into a wolf or a bear. And so it's like, if you want to push this all the way, you can push it all the way. So that's going to be the next one in the shoot.
It's cool you mentioned that. Like we didn't talk about anything that we were going to get into beforehand. Like these are always organic chats. We never know where it's going to go. But I was like, oh, I want to ask him about something. And I was like, oh, this book is what I'm going to ask him about. Shapeshifting. This is written by Elliot O'Donnell, which I believe he's passed a long time ago. Either that or he successfully turned into a werewolf. But there's a complete ritual in here, like one of the most complete rituals I've ever come across in a book, to how to literally go out into the wilderness and perform this crazy ritual with a sacrifice and everything else, and become possessed by this spirit that literally turns you into a shapeshifter. And you're supposed to go as far out into the wilderness as you can possibly get by yourself, which for obvious reasons, if it works, you don't want to be anywhere near some people. At least I don't. You have to set up like a fire and a circle, and you have a cauldron, and it tells you to throw like 3 handfuls of different herbs in the cauldron. That you're supposed to make a sacrifice. It says preferably a cat, which I'd probably use a raccoon. I'm pretty good at catching those. I don't know where I'd get a cat for something like that. But anyway, so you make the sacrifice, and then you strip naked, and you smear the blood and the fat of the sacrifice all over your naked body, and you're supposed to tie a wolf pelt around your waist, like a loincloth, and then you speak this conjuration. And it says after the 3rd time you speak the conjuration, the flames of the fire will turn blue, and then the fire will put itself out. Like it'll go out, and it's like when that happens, it's coming. This thing is coming for you. And I guess it'll either devour you or turn you into a shapeshifter. So that's really is a crazy black magician. It's hard to read something like that and not fuck with it. Like, oh no, that's too much for me. That's like a red flag to a bull. And so I'm not going to do that anytime soon, obviously, because if I were to turn into a werewolf, then I'd have trouble living in the area that I'm living at. I want to. Maybe at some point before I die, though, I'm probably going to do that experiment just to see what the fuck happens. And, I don't know of anyone that's ever done that ritual. I'm sure if they have, then they're not going to talk about it anyway.
For sure. Well, so look, a couple things there. One is going out. I'm even going to say further than the middle of nowhere. Here's where you want to get to. You want to try to get yourself to a place that no person has ever looked at before. And so that's actually, something that you get into the forest where even from above, if a plane has flown over, they're not going to see the ground that you're standing on. Because there is something about even other people seeing a place and knowing it exists, they start putting their negative doubting energy. They start putting their bullshit all over that. And so if you can find a place, I actually had a dude like a year ago that came by here and did some rituals with me. And he was telling me that he's like, he goes, I try to spend all my time in places that other people don't go, that other people don't see. He's like, that's where the weird stuff actually happens. And so you're when you do that, you're getting yourself outside of everybody else's thought bubbles. You got your own freedom of even thinking and being. Now, another thing is that those instructions don't mention that a lot of them do is the taking of psychedelics. Almost every one of these is whether it's mushrooms or ayahuasca or whatever. I think Carlos Castaneda was doing datura, and that's a huge part of it, is losing yourself in the ecstasy and then letting because it is what it is it's a possession. It's the spirit of that wolf possessing you so fully that your body eventually morphs.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but there's enough evidence, like historical evidence of things like that, to where I'm convinced it's possible.
Robert Bruce, that was one of the first stories he told me when I was doing an interview with him, was fucking back in like 2012. He was telling me he was locked in a cabin, and it was like his son-in-law or somebody like that, somebody that he knew closely, had shifted, and they locked him out as he was going through his transformation. He said he didn't see his transformation, but he heard every bit of it. And then something that was stronger than anything he'd ever encountered started coming through the door and just tearing the door to freaking pieces. Yeah. So it's like, and there are so many stories about shape-shifting through time that I do believe it's real. Now, somebody asked, could you shift into an armadillo? Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't want to shift into an armadillo because it's not just a matter of taking the form. You're taking the power, you're taking the identity. Like, I don't know about the powers of an armadillo. Maybe an armadillo has massive powers that I'm not aware of. But I would want to aim, dude, if it were me, I'm turning into a goddamn wolf or a bear. Probably a wolf. I see a wolf more.
Yeah.
I can see Behemoth X becoming a bear though. He'd be a scary bear.
Yeah, he would. See, we got VK Jahanam in the chat too. His name of his channel is Vidian. What's up, brother? See, he actually came out and joined us for the boot camp that we did a few months ago. Mike Lucy's in the chat. What's up, brother?
VK and I had some really cool conversations about just like, what am I going to do next? Because I was kind of not really sure at that point when we were out there. And it's because everything that happened at that boot camp, it lit me on fire too, and started my own progress in the way that it needed to. And so VK and I were talking, and I was like, dude, I want to do a book about Nephilim, but I don't know. He's like, oh, you should do it. I'm like, you think? And he really gave me like a little bit of just the encouragement that I needed to go like, you know what? I'm going to actually. So dude, VK Jahanam, thanks to you, I'm going to be writing a book on the Nephilim, how to work with the Nephilim, and not just of the Hebrew version, but of the giants of every form, and then how to invoke that essence and become Nephilim yourself. So thank you for the inspiration, VK, and I hope you're doing well, brother.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've definitely got a lot of interest in that subject. Working with entities like Azazel and Shemyaza, they were supposed, the Nephilim were their children. And some of the old writings say that, after the flood, after most of them were supposedly wiped out, that, the souls of those giants are what morphed and became the demons that, a lot of us work with. So, I don't know what's true and what's not. You read a lot of different things, and really the only way to know the truth is to dive into the system and figure it out. Let them show you who they are.
Yeah, and you just said it right there. Is Azazel and Shemyaza are both going to be my guides through this, because they're the ones that implanted that infernal seed. So they're the ones that started this whole mess. So
yeah, and Lovelock Cave. That was like a myth for a long time until someone actually went and found it, where the Native Americans, supposedly there was this tribe of red-haired giants that were like 8-9 feet tall with 2 rows of teeth and 6 fingers, and they were like cannibalistic. They were eating the native tribes and warring with them. So apparently they chased a whole tribe of these things into this cave, and then like lit a fire and somehow killed them with the smoke, like smoked them out, literally. And dude went in there and sure enough found a whole bunch of dead skeletons of these 8-9 foot tall giants with 2 rows of teeth and 6 fingers and like long red hair. So of course he reports it, and then here comes the Smithsonian. They come in, vans, black helicopters, and they disappeared, and we've never heard anything about it since. But there's a lot of physical evidence that shit is real. The Indian mounds and stuff that they dug up back in the 1800s, they were finding giant skeletons left and right. Abe Lincoln even wrote about it in his personal journal. So I'm quite certain that that's not a myth. Like, that is some very real shit. And so that just goes to prove even further that the sons and daughters of the Anunnaki, the Watchers, that's all real, man. It's not make believe. It's not myth or legend. It's real shit.
Well, and when we're working with beings like Azazel and Shemyaza, that lineage, that might go back further than humanity. That might go back the civilization that predated us, and maybe even the civilization before that. And so, because it's like, you think about how long we've been here, and they've been with us the whole time. Like, how long have they really been here influencing all of this? Because that is the story, that they created one version that was just kind of barely but still kind of an animal. Then they created another version that was too powerful, and then they created us, and they were like, oh shit, we went too far, let's stop this experiment. That's when Enki came in, who is also known as Satan, came in and liberated us and said, no, instead of destroying them, this one we're going to give our DNA to. And so with that, it's like, how many times have they been running this experiment? Because that is what it seems like, that we're this whole planet's like a petri dish, and we're their experiment that they're just poking and putting little chemicals in and seeing what we do.
Yeah. And we've got human-like footprints fossilized next to dinosaur footprints that they've found, and there's supposed to be like 65 million years gap between us and the dinosaurs. So humanoid creatures have been on this planet a hell of a lot longer than we think. I mean, they found a hammer inside a rock in Texas that was like 400 million years old, or some crazy astronomical number like that. And it's like, well, how the fuck did this get here? You know, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that the humans put it there, but something that was smart enough to forge an iron hammer was making tools that long ago. So,
And ancient jewelry that they found that in order to make this jewelry, you have to have a drill press. Like there's no way of actually doing it with a bone saw that you're spinning in your hands or anything like that. A lot of the same stuff that's been seen all over the place, where it's like, how are they doing some of these engravings in what do they call it? Oh, that place in Turkey. It's this hill in Turkey that there's a whole cavern in there, but it goes back so much further. That is the thing. So we've been lied to about everything, like about freaking everything, about our history, about who we are, about where we came from, about what our destiny is. And I think the powers that be, it seems like they're losing grip of the secrets. Like it seems like all the secrets are slipping out, and I'm excited for it.
yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to be alive. You know, and now that we have the internet and we're all connected, we can share information. Like everything's there at a keystroke. I mean, think about it. You know, before we had technology, like something crazy might happen over here, but you're never going to hear about it if you live over here. You know, and you know have any way of communicating and telling these stories. If you pay attention to like the news and world events, there's crazy shit happening on a daily basis that's getting reported by people, you know, seeing crazy things in the sky, you know, stuff that, you know, would have been, you know, just heard about and written about in old books. Like we were able to actually see this shit on YouTube. You know, a lot of it's fake, I'm sure, but not all of it. Even got like the whole mermaid thing. I was watching this whole thing about you know how that might actually there might really be some sirens, some real sirens in the ocean. They've got a handful of videos on them. There's like this old cave where there's cave paintings of half men, half fish. You got some Hindu gods that had the lower body of a fish. Like all that shit is probably real, dude, and that makes this a very fascinating, weird place to live.
Well,
And
so here's my thought with that is like that they're Bigfoot and mermaids and UFOs, they're all right here. It's not like this stuff's coming from another planet or anything like that, but it's like a different phase of here. It's a different, I don't even want to say a different dimension because that's a different, I don't know that that's the right way of thinking about it, but it's slightly out of phase. And it seems like our worlds are just coming together. Like the wall, the veil that used to separate us is breaking down. And that's why it's like, it's not that there's more UFOs coming here from another planet. It's just that we're seeing them more because the veil is breaking down. Same thing with Bigfoot sightings. Dude, I saw some of that mermaid stuff for sure. I was like, before I clicked on it, I was like, nah, this is going to be BS. There's no way that this is actually real. But no, that was actually because it's like the one I saw. It was a whole bunch of them swimming, and they're popping out, and you can see them like a woman pop out, and then fins behind her, and then she goes under, darts forever. You can see her swimming underwater so fast, and then pops back out. I'm like, what the heck? So yeah, but it's like, are there always mermaids swimming in the water? I don't think so. I think that it's another realm, and at times there's like times when it crosses over. That's why we have stories of mermaids and dragons from certain ancient times, and they don't seem to exist. But we're hitting that point where they're crossing over again.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm fascinated with is dragons because you've got them in literally every ancient culture has stories and lore and myths about dragons. I've never seen like a good video of one, like a cell phone video or anything like that. But I mean, it's not that far a stretch to have a dinosaur with wings, you know. And yeah, it's just that's I don't know if it's another dimension, if because you look at like the missing 411 shit, you know, where people go into the woods and they just disappear. And some of the people that they find afterwards, it's rare. They normally are never seen again, but they'll tell stories like, you know, it's like they walk through a portal, you know, and they say that the forest just came to life around them, you know, and all of a sudden they were somewhere else. And then they'll pop out, you know, on another part of the country, you know, days later and don't know how they got there. So yeah, if there is other dimensions that are right here on this planet side by side with us, I do think that you're right. The veil is getting thinner for some reason, and we're seeing having more and more sightings of weird, crazy shit like that. So imagine if the veil dropped all at once, and it's like here we are with like a whole bunch of Bigfoots and dragons and shit like that. Like it'd be an awesome movie.
Dude, that might be just around the corner. Like we might be almost there. But so Charlie Ray throws in the chat, says, since working with demons, because there are some Christians and whatnot in the chat being like, oh, you guys are going to hell and you're destroying yourselves. Charlie Ray says, since working with demons, I have evolved into a much better and mature person. I have confidence and see through people's BS now. Well, Charlie, that's one of the things. First off, without magic, I wouldn't have survived. Like physically, there are so many different things that literally magic has saved my life, but also saved me from myself. It gave me an outlet for all of the things that I couldn't tolerate and handle in myself. It gave me tools to be able to fix myself, and by fixing myself, make my life a better life. One of the big things that the demons have done is they don't let you look away from your darkness. They shove your face right in it. And so that's one of the big things that we're working with demons and working with black magic does. It is massive shadow work. And so that is one of the big things is like, yeah, it can get ugly. It can get, dude, for me, it got ugly and it still will. I'm sure in the future will get ugly again as these things come out of you. But that's the process is like we're evolving and unfolding ourselves. And here, the other thing that though, because I know this is true for both of us, we're not married to the demons. Like we work with whatever we want to work with. We want to dip into the Necronomicon. We're going to do that. We want to call an angel to heal somebody. We're going to call that goddamn angel. We're going to work with whatever it is we need to work with. And most of the stuff we work with tends to be older than Judeo-Christianity. And so this stuff is older than the modern concepts of Satan and Jesus and Yahweh. And so we're actually dealing with some of the most ancient gods ever. But Charlie, thanks for being there and thanks for putting that in the chat, because that is true. If you stick on your magical path, it's gonna get messy. It's gonna get ugly. You're gonna have some ugliness that you have to face, but you're gonna face it and you're gonna overcome it. And that's one of the big things, because most other paths, you don't face it. You look away from it. You ignore it. You pretend like you're perfect, even though the whole time, you're getting eaten up by your own sin, rather than just embracing your sin and overcoming it, if it needs to be overcome.
Instead of being told to surrender and give everything over to some higher power, is teaching you to become the higher power. Tap into your own higher power, which also is scary because it forces people to take responsibility for their lives. You can't blame everything on the devil. It's like the only person to blame is you, motherfucker. And that's the hardest thing about the left-hand path. It's taking personal responsibility for your own situation. At least for me, and I think a lot of people feel that way.
I think that's the thing that makes it hard. This is a really hard path to walk. Is that it is a path of always confronting yourself. Every time you summon a demon, you're asking them to stir your life up and to mix things up in a crazy way that you didn't expect. And so it is a bit like I've used this analogy a million times, but surfing a whirlwind. We stir up a whirlwind and then surfing it and getting to where you got to go. But again, it is not all about demons though, and nor should it be. I think we need to balance ourselves with everything, find harmony with all the different aspects. It's like, dude, I know I've got a couple clients one client in particular I'm thinking of. It is baneful magic for everything. Whatever the problem is, it's baneful magic. And I'm like, dude, you're killing yourself. Like, sure, all your enemies are going away, but that's a lot of hatred that's just going to eat you alive. You got to balance this shit out.
Yeah. I've had a same conversation with several people too about, like you can't just fixate on one type of magic to fix everything. You become so imbalanced. And I think you even told me that years ago. It's like, man, if all you're doing is throwing curses all the time, then you're going to become this cursed being. Like you become saturated with whatever it is that you're immersing yourself in on a regular basis. So, I mean, yeah, definitely some situations absolutely call for baneful magic. And the same thing if I do too much like healing work, like I start to get imbalanced where that comes in as well. And so it's like, okay, I need to get back over here on the baneful side a little bit and balance myself out. But the great thing about being black magicians is we can do whatever we want. We're not bound by any rules or laws or anything like that. Our only rules and laws are whatever we determine for ourselves, and that's true spiritual freedom.
It is. But you know, the people who are coming at it from a religious perspective, everything except for their religion is evil. Including if you're Catholic, that means the Protestants are evil. You know that you're going to point that finger at every single other person out there.
Let's see. Somebody just dropped us a $50 super chat. Hey, thank you, brother. They have a question here. It says, do you guys use ley lines in your rituals? Asheville, North Carolina, or the 33rd parallel? Thank you for your work. Hails. Well, I'll say that I actually live close to Asheville, North Carolina. I don't think we can get there right now. I think they got hit pretty hard by the hurricane as well. But no, I've never gone to a location specifically because there was a ley line there in order to perform a ritual. But big reason for that is because we're not allowed to. Like, I want to go perform a ritual at Stonehenge so bad. Well, good luck with that. Like, you're probably the only way I can figure out a way to get around like security, because I mean, we're just not allowed to go to these places. There's usually already something that's been built there for ritual purposes or some type of, you know, religious purpose, like Stonehenge or a cathedral or whatever it might be. There's no way in hell that they're going to let you get in there to do a ritual like that. So I was thinking, well, maybe we could do like a documentary or something and let a TV network get us access to these places. But either that or a billionaire to fund an expedition, you know, to pay grease enough palms to let us get in there and do our thing. What about you, EA? Have you ever like gone to a ley line specifically to do a ritual?
You know, not to do a ritual. I did go down to Sedona, Arizona, which has a lot of ley lines and a lot of what do you call it, vortexes there. But I actually didn't do any rituals. I just kind of hung out and just absorbed the energy. But one of the things that I do, so as I'm hiking out in the desert here, I'll find Native Americans. Specifically, we've got Paiute and Navajo tribes out here, and I'll find rocks that'll have a crack in them and a bunch of small stones stacked inside of those cracks. Those are gateways to the underworld. They stacked those stones inside those cracks to close up the portal. And so I go in there and I just take a couple rocks out, usually 3 rocks, and I'll do rituals right there in front of those. That's one of the Native Americans know a lot about the energy of the earth and the different access points and all of that. So if I see something like and similarly, if you see around here, you'll see little spots where they had a little civilization, little villages that are, you know, you can see little stones and stuff where they've had their civilization, and they would build their places in energetically protected areas. And so go there and do your rites of protection. You go to those gateway openings to call up things from the underworld. So I look at that more than like the ley lines that are commonly known. But I do kind of want to go to what's that, Mount Shasta? Mount Shasta's got some caves supposed to be off the charts. I would love to go there, but I called them and I emailed them because they've got a whole like visitor center that you gotta register through if you're gonna do a group of people. And I was like, let's get a group of like 50 people out here. As soon as they found out it was for magic, they were like, no, you can do yoga here, you can do Buddhist, you can do anything but magic. And I was like, that's fucked. So
yeah, it is fucked. And Stephen Greer does that kind of stuff. Dr. Stephen Greer, big UFO guy. He's really intelligent. I do think he's being honest with us about pretty much everything that he claims to have experienced. But he'll take groups of people up to the top of Mount Shasta and other places like that, and they'll do like these group meditations to go into a full I think he calls it a samadhi or a meditation, to where they actually make contact with ETs. Like they'll have, or transdimensional beings, they'll have cameras set up in every direction, and they'll have people go in. Like they had one guy, he was deaf. Like, he was totally fucking deaf, and goes up there, and this being like partially materialized and touched the guy, and all of a sudden he could hear again. Like, so crazy, miraculous things like that happen during these group setting. I think we should call them rituals that he does. But I guess we just have to word it better. You know, we'd have to be dishonest about what we were trying to do. And back in the 1970s, when you were still able to access Stonehenge, it was private property back then. So the guy that owned it, according to him, said that a group of hippies, he called them hippies, which there's no, I think it was a bunch of magicians, snuck into Stonehenge, and they were performing a ritual. And so the dude calls 911, calls the police, and him and this cop are walking out there to kick these people off of his property. And they said that lightning started striking the stones, the erect stones, and then it became like a blue light engulfed Stonehenge. And they said the people started screaming, and then they all disappeared. All that was left was their tents and their camping equipment. But it was like, you know, over a dozen people, they estimated, just completely disappeared doing this ritual. So after that, they blocked off Stonehenge. He ended up selling the property. Now you can't even get close to it. You know, it's like once a year they let a tour group go in there and, you know, walk around, take pictures or whatever. But they're not going to let anybody get out there and do a ritual in a place like that, unfortunately. See,
Yeah.
somebody commented, says, I want to thank you because of the Bog Forum. I met my soulmate. We'll be getting married next year. I wish we could have you over to do a rite. That's Sai A. I guess I'm speaking to you there, brother. See, if you guys have any questions, I'm going through the chat here. I'm trying not to miss any serious comments or questions, because there is a lot of other conversations taking place here. But if you have any questions for EA or myself, we will do our very best to answer them here live.
Yeah. But you know, as more is coming out, more of disclosure is happening about what's going on with the ETs and all of this. You know, they've got Jake Barber, one of the whistleblowers that came out, and he's talking about how they get together and they summon craft. They're summoning these craft, and those are the words he uses. They're using psionics, which, check out, I've got that written, I think, in Baneful Magic years ago when I wrote that. Psionics to summon these craft, and it's like, so what's going on here? Again, it's not metal craft from another world. It's things that are responding to our consciousness, and that changes the game. That actually puts it in the perspective of the Book of Ezekiel and of the various Rig Veda texts and the Hindu texts that talk about these craft and these beings that come back and forth between the worlds.
Oh yeah. See, Michael Heisen's in the chat.
What's up, Michael?
What's up, brother? Said he'd love to do a ritual with us sometime.
I love that.
You never know what could happen in the future. You know, we're definitely going to be doing more of these group functions. You know, we just did, we've done a boot camp 2 years in a row, and maybe, I don't know, it's kind of evolving organically here. Maybe the next group thing that we do, maybe it'll be an expedition or something. I mean, if we word it properly, maybe we can get into Mount Shasta. You know, we're a bunch of Buddhists or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can be Buddhist for the day.
Yeah, I can identify as anything for the day.
That's right. That's the thing.
See, El the Alchemist is in the chat. What's up, brother? Let's see. Going here and trying to. The chat's moving really quick, guys. So if I do miss any of your serious questions, please just repost them. Let's see. Back to the bottom of the chat here. Okay. Can you bring a demon on the stream so we can see it? We've actually had demons make a few times in our videos quite a few times. Me personally, I'm never going to attempt to summon a demon just to make an appearance on a video. But the rituals that I've videoed and the rituals that EA's video, I even did one. It was live. It was a live stream on Connie Willis's channel. And we were working with Suntalak, actually, which is from the Book of Azazel. This guy's the one who rediscovered him. And we have this fiery blue orb flying across the altar. And they actually, like, somebody recorded it and slowed it down and sent it to me. And it's clearly a flaming ball that's leaving trails of flames flying around. So, I mean, getting, like, orbs and stuff like that, they can appear in that way. Definitely get a lot of crazy faces in the smoke. Like, somebody sent me a still shot of one of my live rituals with Astarte. And there's a woman's face, like, as clear as day in my cigar smoke. I got cigar and incense smoke, and it's like, there's no denying that.
Dude,
So,
that's
an appearance.
That's what I was going to say. You know, if you remember, I think it was like 2 years ago at the boot camp. I don't know that she wants to be named, but a lady that came out to that brought a photo album out. And she's like, I got to show you guys this. And she's like, I was doing, this ritual, and here's what happens. And she's taking still photos of her candle and her incense. And yeah, dude, you can, it is ridiculous. Like you said, the clarity of a person's face looking right at you, you can see every detail of it. So, yeah, but you said, JS, that you wouldn't do it to try to summon it so you could see it. That's what I call the purity of intent. Like, what's your actual intent? If my intent is to impress you, that's not a very powerful intent. And there's a million ways to impress you that don't involve summoning demons. In fact, if I wanted to really impress you, if I really wanted people to like me, I'd stop talking about demons. I'd stop talking about black magic. This is a really easy way to make people not fucking like you. Yeah. And so 100%, like no, that's
if we wanted to be popular and famous and wealthy, we'd pretend to be Christians. Like I actually sent you a funny video the other night, and I ended up deleting it before you had a chance to watch it because it wasn't as funny when I was sober. But I was like, how can I become rich and famous? And they're just like, you need Jesus. I'm like, huh? Like, yeah, I'm gonna be a fucking televangelist with a redemption story,
Oh, for sure, dude. No, that's crossed my mind once or twice. Is that there's a lot of money to be made by, especially if I showed up and I had a short sleeve white button up shirt on that you could still see all my tattoos, and get up there and I was damned and I was saved by Jesus. Oh, dude, I could rake in a lot of money. But here's my problem. I told you this through text. I can't keep a secret, dude. I have the hardest time keeping a secret. You can tell right away if I'm lying about shit. I just can't keep that stuff in. So I don't know that I can pull it off, but we'll see. I got to take some pretty good acting classes, and then maybe you're going to see a conversion.
If we're not real, then we're nothing. And if we're nothing else, we are fucking real, guys. Inertia says, since starting your journey working with the Infernals, have people suddenly become obsessed with you, neighbors, coworkers, etc.? Yeah, in good and bad ways, both. EA has had plenty of stalkers. I've had one or two. L recently had his first stalker. That one was a doozy. But I mean, people will obsessively hate you. Maybe you're referring to like people that don't know what we're doing. And I've noticed that, certain people gravitate towards you. They're attracted to that demonic energy, especially working with Belial. Anytime I'm doing like a path working with him and his energy's, really saturating me, I notice if I go out in public, like people definitely want to talk to me more. They, take notice of me when I walk in the room, things like that. So people can sense that energy coming off of you for sure.
Well, so here's my actual thoughts on it. Is that when you work with demons, the demonic and the infernal, everything that exists in the darkness, it acts like a mirror. It shows you yourself, and so if you're saturated in that presence, you're acting as a mirror for other people. And so other people look at you, and if they hate themselves, they hate you. If they want to find love in themselves, they love you. If they want to see themselves as a teacher, they'll see you as a teacher. You become the mirror for them. That's one of the big things I had to understand is they're not hating me, they're not loving me. I'm a mirror, and that's cool. I'm happy to be a mirror.
Well, yeah. Charlie Ray says, serious question. Who is Zozo from the Ouija? Is that Pazuzu? I have no idea. You?
Yeah, Zozo does come up a lot on Ouija board sessions. I think Led Zeppelin had his name on one of their album covers, if I remember right. And is it Pazuzu? Gosh, I've never heard that. I've never heard that before. I just thought it was some wandering spirit that was just talking to people on Ouija boards. I almost thought it was like a spirit of the Ouija board, but maybe it is Pazuzu. I mean, the thing you would have to look at for that, though, is it causing sickness? Like, because that's Pazuzu's whole thing, is he causes sickness. And so if people are talking to Zozo on the Ouija board and then they get sick, that could be Pazuzu.
Well, I think that comes from the movie The Exorcist, because Pazuzu was the demon that possessed Linda Blair in The Exorcist. She was talking to him on a Ouija board, calling him Captain Howdy. And next thing you know, she's possessed by Pazuzu. So, I mean, I think that's where that gets mixed together. I don't know. This is, let's see, a question to you both. If everything went fine with evocation and delivered within discussed time frame, and then years down the line, that service is no longer required, how do we conclude this?
I'll take a stab at that real quick, is call that spirit back and just say, thank you for doing such a spectacular job. You did exactly what I wanted you to do. Now you're free from this service. Thank you so much. And don't worry about working on this anymore. But here's the problem. Often, once something's in motion, you can't really stop the motion. It's really hard to stop the motion. So depending on what your circumstances is, like if the spirit has pushed things in your life that are rolling forward and you're like, whoa, I need to stop it, you might have to do more than just dismissing the spirit. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Jess?
I mean, I was going to say exactly what you just said. I'd call them forth and tell them thank you, like here's some offerings. Usually I'm using some type of blood offering. But yeah, I would just tell them thank you. This, I know this service is no longer required or desired, and maybe direct that energy towards something else. So I wouldn't necessarily stop working with the entity. Be like, hey, this guy really helped me out in this area. So now I want to focus on this area of my life. So I might try redirecting it instead of dismissing it. But I mean, yeah, that's all I have to say. See, do you have any experience with Nama? I've been researching her, but the information about her is very limited.
So I've worked with her a little bit more. Now that I think of it, I think the only time I've worked with her is while I'm also working with Lilith. The Lilith and Nama go really well together. They kind of balance each other out a bit. But I don't think I've actually done a lot of working with Nama. Nah.
It was about a year and a half ago. I did like an official initiation ritual with Nama. And I've worked with her and Lilith since. Somebody had asked earlier, I think it was Dan Best, like, what's that new painting behind you? That's a sigil of Lilith that has mine and Siren's blood mixed in with the paint. We actually made that sigil plate for Sex Magic. And yeah, it's been intense. It's been really intense. And yeah, Nama is really intense also. So yeah, it's I don't really know like what to tell you as far as getting in depth of what it's like to work with her. I'll just say that the experience has been good. And so if you're considering working with an entity, they might be calling to you. At very least, meditate on their sigil. Sit there and do a meditation with them, chant their name, call them, and just feel their energy. You don't have to ask for something every time you call them. You can just call an entity and make some offerings, introduce yourself, and determine whether or not they want to work with you, and whether or not you want to work with them. Treat them like people in that respect. Always be respectful, and use common sense. When you're working with an entity, and yeah, just do what feels right to you, because there's not a lot written about Nama, and a lot of the stuff, the demons and gods and goddesses that are written about a lot, a lot of that's misinformation. Like the Ars Goetia. Read the description of Astaroth. It's like the scariest one in the book. Like, if you summon this entity, you have to wear a magic ring and hold it in front of your face, otherwise she'll burn your face off and shit like that. And I'm like, okay, that's the one I need to work with right there. And so I summoned that one, and of course it turned out to be Astarte, and yeah, that's been a beautiful relationship ever since.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was going to say too. Is just reach out in any way. Lean into her. If you're thinking about her, like, where do those thoughts lead you? Do you want to go to do a little research? Or you just want to reach out. Also, you can do a full ritual, go into a room and shut out all the lights and light a bunch of candles and incense, create a whole beautiful ceremony. Or you can just go for a walk and do a little talking with that spirit in your head while you walk. I like to do that a lot, because the The spirit isn't walking alongside you per se. They exist in a whole other reality that's not even a thing. And so they're just transmitting whatever they need to transmit into your mind. I like to go for a walk and just be like, hey, Nama, tell me more about you. Tell me how to get in contact with you. What do I need to do? And, you go for a half-hour walk. You can have a massive talking session with the spirit that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw you make a video on that like 7 years ago, literally walking with the spirits. And that's something that I do. Me and Siren both do that. We go for walks just about every day. And just getting out in the woods with nature, whether it was somebody else or by yourself. If I'm going to attempt to commune with an entity like you were just talking about, I prefer to be alone, and maybe go out to the lakeside, maybe, call their name, make them an offering. Something simple. Doesn't have to be anything extravagant. If somebody saw me doing that, they would have no idea, that I was doing a ritual or anything. And yeah, just walking with the spirits. And I usually find really cool stuff when I do that. When I go on a spirit walk, a nature walk, like I'm always finding like owl feathers, crow feathers, or like, oh, it's a turtle or a snake, something cool usually comes home with me for one of those adventures.
Yeah. No, I want to take this question from Singh. And congratulations on the engagement, Singh. I hope you have a lifelong relationship, and that it treats you're treated well. But Singh says, JS and EA, I've worked with numerous times with Clown Act. The only time I got the right number for a horse race result, 50 cents for $5,000. I didn't play, and now I can't do it again. Feels like I pissed them off. Well, here's the thing: don't use. Gambling is the least likely way. Any form of gambling is the least likely way for you to get money. The spirits are going to work, and magic is going to work through the path of least resistance. So you're actually setting up a losing opportunity there. So instead of telling Clown X specifically is really good at helping you get a job or get more clients. And so call Clown X and ask him if you need more money, do you need a better job? Call Clown X and ask him to start giving you another job. Because while you're at the horse track, there could be opportunities for jobs that you're missing out on that Clown X is trying to set you up with. And Clown X is like, hey, where are you at? Why are you hanging out at the horse track when you've asked me to get you a job? So that's my thoughts on that. What do you think, JS?
No, I think you're right. I think gambling's probably. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not going to win money if you do like a money ritual before you go to the casino. I don't go to casinos, but if I was going to, I'd absolutely do like something to help me win at games of chance. But yeah, I've never relied on gambling or games of chance to make money in conjunction with ritual magic. When I do like wealth magic, I'm always trying to like further my business, further my career, things like that. I'm trying to be successful in my art form and practice, because the better my practice and art form is, the more successful I naturally am because of that. And, so my goal is always to be better, and money is a result that comes from putting out quality content,
Yeah. So I live just right across the border from Las Vegas, and I love going to the buffets there. Caesar's Palace has such a great buffet. I love walking through, going to the shows. They've got the Cirque du Soleil there. That's amazing. They got amazing bicycle jump, do crazy stuff. It's awesome. All of that is paid for by the losers. Yeah. So 100% of that is paid for by people putting their money into the machine or sitting at a table and losing. That means the odds are so against you. They're so against you. But if I do go, and I will go. I'll go put $20 into a machine in Vegas, and you better believe I'm pushing the odds, and that means I might walk out of there with $100. But I'm not gonna get rich, nor am I gonna hope to get rich on that. It's actually just a fun little game of seeing, can I push the odds a little bit in my favor? And every time, sure enough, a little bit in my favor. But to think you're going to get rich on that, honestly, there's a problem with that, and it's respect for money. If you don't respect your money enough that you're just throwing it on horse races and you're throwing it on gambling, and you're hurting for money, that's a lot of disrespect. That's an energy that you're throwing away on that money, instead of taking that and going, you know what? If you want to spend money on horse races or on gambling, understand that you're spending money on the entertainment. Like if you're getting entertained, then great. If you're not getting entertained, that's on you. I probably wouldn't spend money on something that I'm not getting entertained by.
Oh yeah. See, Dan Best says, question, what do the two of you think about haunted dolls? I recently got my first haunted doll. It's been interesting so far. Haunted dolls, EA.
Yeah. I've got all kinds of haunted dolls, and I took a couple years ago out of the boot camp. We went and nailed them to the trees out around the house, and put spells of protection and of healing, whatever spells we wanted to. And when you're walking through the yard, they'll look at you, like their eyes will move, and you'll even see them shifting and moving. There's a story though where recently. Didn't somebody die while they were looking at this haunted doll?
It's the Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
One of the dude went on tour with it. There's somebody named Matt Rife bought the museum of Lorraine Warren, and then I forget the dude's name that died. I just heard about it, but yeah, he took Annabelle on tour, and they warned him not to touch the doll physically, and he physically touched the doll and ended up dead shortly afterwards.
So I had reached out to the Warrens when they were still alive. This is like a decade ago or more. I had sent an email to their when you go on their website, it's like a contact us. So I just sent an email in there and I was like, hey, I'd like to come there and do some magical experiments with some of your items. And they shut that down. They're like, no, that's the opposite of what we want. We're trying to purge these things and keep them safe. We don't want your hand. They sent me a really like scathing email back. But now that Mount Rife is in control of it, I could probably get hold of him. He'd probably let us do some crazy shit.
I'd be totally down for that.
Hell yeah. Where is it? That's in Connecticut?
I know there was a haunting in Connecticut.
There was. That was a great
name of the movie, but yeah, I don't know. They obviously the movie, the Amityville movies and stuff, it's obviously exaggerated. Like I watched that movie not long ago called, The Devil Made Me Do It, where the dude, the kid was possessed by a demon, made him kill somebody, and Ed and Lorraine Warren actually like went to bat for this guy in court and got him like I guess a really minimum sentence. Do I think that someone could become possessed and commit a crime like that? Sure, yeah, I'm sure it is possible, but I definitely don't think that it was as crazy as they made it out to be in the movie.
No, I can say for sure that there have been a few times that I've been possessed that I've had to. It's taken all of my willpower to keep myself from doing some crazy shit. So I can see how a person that wasn't able to ground it, that didn't, especially if I'm going to be honest, especially if somebody is working on bad information. If they've just thrown together some stupid little ritual and they actually get possessed and they don't have the real information about what they're doing, that's a dangerous situation because this shit is real. They could actually get something jumping into them that does want to do harm and they don't know what to do about it. They don't know the first way of banishing something from their own body,
Yeah. I do think that there is spiritual influence behind a lot of serial killers. They've even, said as much themselves, like, the neighbor's dog told me to do it or whatever. But yeah, I do think that there are entities. I wouldn't call them demons. I call them parasites, like really nasty, evil things. I mean, because you got to have one extreme and the other. If you got really good entities, you're gonna have really bad entities too. And good and bad's a matter of opinion and perception. But if it's something's possessing a person, telling you to hurt another person, that's gonna, usually be a bad thing. So yeah, I mean, I do think that people can be overtaken by an outside spiritual influence and compelled to do things. And you ultimately, have the power over yourself on this physical plane at the end of the day. But yeah, it's a very powerful influence. Like I've never had like, working with like, Shemyaza or some Talak, they've never asked me to hurt anybody. Satan's never asked me to hurt anybody. He's never asked for human sacrifices, none of that shit. None of the crazy stigmas that you hear about black magic. I haven't experienced any of it. I've never had negative reactions to the rituals that I do for people either. Like it's always been positive change. So, I mean, but there are evil things out there that you don't want to mess with. And I think the best way to keep one of those parasitic things from sneaking in in hijacking your ritual is to put up good barriers around your ritual and the intent. Like the universal circle is the best. That there's a spirit that presides over the universal circle that is basically a middleman between you and whoever you're summoning into the triangle. And I always, if I'm doing like a deification rite for somebody, I do what I call the it's not. I call it the greater banishing, just to be funny. It's like a version of the lesser banishing, only I'm summoning demons. But that's to prevent the ritual from being hijacked. To prevent some random wandering entity from slipping into my circle, into the fire, and making me think that it's the person I'm trying to do the ritual for when it's really not. It's just some asshole spirit that's trying to steal the energy from the sacrifice. So definitely, go into every ritual from a place of strength. Don't go to a war god from a place of weakness. Come from a place of strength.
Yeah. These parasite entities, these nags or whatever, they people confuse them with demons, with the entities that we'll work with, the infernals. And it's like, these are two completely different things that we're talking about. But they are lumped all together, especially by Christians, because Christians have a really narrow view. They're really not able to see much outside of their blinders. But it's like, no, those are something that and those are very real. Because let's even talk about this. When you're making breakthroughs in your spirituality, and you're even making breakthroughs in your personal life, that's when these things will come around and start attacking you. And so it is like they do try to hold you back and tear down your light and pull you into actual like suicidal darkness. And so it's not, dude, because this is the problem. We've talked about this before with like Andrew Tate. He doesn't realize like we're not on the opposite side. Like we're all together trying to fight a system of slavery, and that system does have a spiritual form and it has a physical form as well. But it's like we're actually on the same side against these parasites in human form and parasites that are in spiritual form. And so we need to stop like thinking that we're all opposites and coming on each other's channels and whatever. We're working together. Like let's work together.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy would talk mad shit about us. Because he's a warrior for God, for Allah. Right. He's a Muslim now. Right. He's one of God's chosen.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't know that.
A lot of the things that dude says, I can get behind. Like he says a lot of really intelligent things that make sense, and some of the stuff he says, I'm just like, okay, dude, fucking A, you lost me there. But we're the fucking good guys, and. Like in this world that we live in this matrix, this bad copy of reality, everything is inverted. All right. And so they say that's what the demonic does. Oh, they invert everything. It's like, no, everything's already been inverted. So therefore, by working with the dark, the demonic, the infernals, what they're really doing is showing you how to flip it back up right. And once you start backwards thinking, like basically thinking backwards from everything that we've been taught, then you realize everything is inverted. So what's good is actually bad, and what's bad is actually good, according to general consensus, especially when you're dealing with the government and media and things like that. The good guy is always going to be demonized. No one is hated more than the person who's speaking the truth, whether it's a man or a woman. And I wonder when I look back through history, you look back through history, it's Vlad the Impaler, supposed to be one of the most evil people, scary people that ever lived. People were so scared of that motherfucker that they're still scared of him today. They're still making movies about him today, vampire movies and demonic movies. But if you ask the people of Romania who Vlad the Impaler was, they're going to be like, that was our savior, So, I always look at history with a backwards eye. I'm just like, okay, if this is what was written, this is what we're being taught, there's a good chance that there's either a big section of that history missing, or it's been flipped upside down and we're being told the opposite.
Yeah. So Morgan 9966 has been asking some questions about healing that I'd like to address, about working with Raphael and Marbas. So One question, this is more for you, JS, is if you're working with an angel like Raphael for healing, would you give him a blood offering of any sort, or like prick your own finger? Or since it's an angel, would you not do blood? Or what's your stance on that?
No, I use blood every time working with Raphael. It's actually necessary.
Nice.
It's very necessary. And if I'm actually getting ready to, I'm actually filming a course on this right now. It's on, and I'm doing a workshop on it too. It's exorcism and healing. And I've performed more miracles working with Raphael than any other entity as far as healing illnesses that are incurable. All right. And a lot of those rituals I've done on the person, like have them in person, like literally had them laying in the circle when I do the working. And an in person healing with Raphael, not only does it require the blood of the operator, which would be me, but it also requires the blood of a loved one. All right. And so if it's someone that I love personally, then my blood would suffice. But in many cases, I've needed a family member or a spouse or a child, child of that person, not a child, but their offspring there, someone who loves them to commit their blood to this ritual as well. And I sacrifice chickens to Raphael when I'm doing this at a distance. I always do. I use my blood and the blood of a sacrifice, or the blood of someone that loves that person that I'm trying to heal. So yeah, pretty much all of them like blood. Blood is spiritual currency. It's the life force. Just because you're doing the blood right doesn't make it evil and scary. And I'll tell you what, if you're scared of demons, you should summon Raphael and see how scary he can be. Okay, like he has scared the holy fucking shitballs out of me on more than one occasion. All right,
So
just as ferocious, just as terrifying, and the religion that has segregated these beings, calling these are angels and these are demons, angel good, demon bad. Okay, well, these spirits, these entities are much older than religion. They're much older than the religions that have been built and based around them, based off of them. And so, what's the difference between the species? I don't know if there is one. Like, if an angel and a demon were standing side by side, like, would you be able to tell them apart? Which one would look more scary? Uh, they're both quite terrifying, and they're both very loving and can do amazing things for you if you approach them in the right way.
Well, so now that kind of brings to the second question that Morgan had about this, which is, would you call Raphael alongside Marbas, or would you keep them separate? So,
Yeah.
I don't call angels so much inside this temple, because this temple is just got a lot of darkness in it. And so I'll go out in my yard. I've got a little like pond area that I'll go call angels at, or different spots in nature that I feel like angels respond to better. And but there's no issue with Marnabas and Raphael working together. That's the other thing, is people think that it's angels versus demons, good versus evil. No, it's a ice cream swirl with vanilla and chocolate all swirled together. These things work together, they mix together. When we see like these forces swirling together, people think that that's battle. No, that's not battle. That's actually cooperation. You just got to look at it for a while. You actually see that the dark and light mix together and they work together really beautifully. But yeah, have you ever worked with Raphael and Marbas together?
Not at the exact same time, but I have done a ritual with each of them at separate times for the same person and gotten good results. All right. And I've summoned angels and demons, or as they're labeled. Like I said, I don't think those labels really mean much. But yeah, I worked with them at the same time in rituals and gotten excellent results. I've never had a bad reaction in doing that. And, they're ultimately, you're working with them towards the same goal, especially if it's healing. If you're trying to heal somebody, what's wrong with summoning multiple entities either at the same time or at different times to all work on the same task? I mean, that's being thorough in my book, and I'm all about overkill. Like, I want to get the job done, and I want to get it done right. And I look at it like an obstacle, like a wall that's standing in front of me. I'm going to throw everything in my fucking arsenal at that brick wall until I bust it down. Oh, you just turned green.
Oh, dude, I don't even know what I did. I hit something accidentally. Green screen.
Let's see.
I don't know.
Jay Sauber just left us a super chat. Thank you, brother. Greatly appreciate you. He's a good friend of mine. Shaman says, blessing. That's Earl. Blessings to everyone. Great to see JS&EA. Hail to Raphael. Hail the Infernal Empire. Fuck yeah, brother. Thank you. See, Morgan left us a super chat. So thank you guys. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. See, the Phoenix left us a super chat. Raphael helped me ditch my nicotine addiction and turn my tumor benign, or ensured it didn't turn cancerous. Whatever it is, I'm unsure of. Hey, I believe that 100%. I've healed people of tumors, or I've done workings with these entities, to heal people of things like tumors, cancerous tumors. I had one, the most recent one. This girl had like a baseball-sized tumor on her neck and shoulder. Did the ritual for it, started shrinking the next day. 30 days later, it was the size of a marble, and then it completely went into rapid remission and disappeared. So things like that, miracles are possible. And if it's something that the doctors can't fix with modern medicine, then what else do you have to try other than ritual magic? And ritual magic will come through for you. It'll come through for you when nothing else does. And that's why I'm obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm. But you do have to do as much as you can do in the physical, in every way that you can, and it's going to fill in magical, fill in the gap. It'll make mysterious things happen that all of a sudden, boom, you get what you were looking for. But you do have to put forth effort. You've got to actually work on it. Exhaust all of the things that you've got. I'm going to use an example that I get a lot. I'll have people that hire me for a love spell. I do the ritual for them, and almost every time the advice comes through, now you got to go ask that person out. You got to go ask them on a date. You got to go declare your love for them. Oh, I can't do that. I was hoping the spell would change that and make them come up to me. No. You still got to do your part. Now it's just going to make your part go a lot smoother. But you still got to go up and ask for their number. You still got to go up and ask them on a date. You still got to go put in the application for a job. And then the things happen, and it does put the statistics in your favor. But you actually got to do the thing.
Well, yeah, if you're wanting to get a job at a company and you do a ritual to help you get that job, but then you never put in an application, you expect somebody from that company to come knock on your front door and offer you a fucking job. That ain't gonna work. All right. Like you said, the physical effort has to match the metaphysical effort. All right. Like these techniques, these rituals, these spells, these entities, they're here to help you accomplish what you're already working towards and trying to accomplish yourself. If you're a lazy motherfucker, then you're not going to accomplish anything. And that's a hell of a disrespect too, to summon an entity and ask them to help you accomplish something and then never do a fucking thing on your end to actually make it happen. That's a good way to get that entity to say, never work with you again.
100%.
Let's see. We've been on for a little over an hour here. I don't know how long you were planning on hanging out. I can stay on with you all night, bro. But,
I gotta bounce before too long. So yeah, we want to take a few. What the hell? No, dude. I gotta leave my screen alone. Yeah. Take any final questions or wrap up or whatever. Yeah, dude. It's been a blast chatting with you and chatting with everybody. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I love doing these live streams, man. I love getting on doing these chats with you. Like I said, we never plan on what we're going to talk about. Really, like we might have one or two subjects that we want to touch on, but it's all organic, and a lot of our conversation stems from the people in the chat. So I love interacting with all you guys as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for everybody for tuning in here. Some of the old school hardcore people that we've seen: Dan Best, Michael Heisen, and Zarafina, a ton of you in the chat. Really appreciate you seeing here, and then some new people, even the Christians adding to the algorithm. Really appreciate that. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
hell yeah,
I do appreciate the trolls just as much. And chances are, if you stop typing shit for a minute and listen, you might actually learn something that'll help you. So, hey, we love you all. We love our haters because your hate feels good. It tickles me right where my belly button is.
It does indeed. All right, brother. Love you. Love you. It's so much fun. You have a good one. We will talk again soon.
Love you, brother. Take care.
Love you. Bye.